Right now, as you watch this, there is an island sitting in the middle of Walt Disney World that Disney will not acknowledge. It's not hidden. You can see it from the shore. Guests at the Fort Wilderness Resort have been looking at it for 25 years. The buildings are still standing. The animal enclosures are still there. The pathways are still marked. The storage rooms are still full. Disney closed it in 1999. They never demolished it. They never explained why. And in 2019, they found someone living on it. Someone they had no record of. Someone who couldn't account for exactly how long he'd been there. Someone who, when asked what he'd found inside the buildings, went quiet. This is Discovery Island, and this is everything Disney doesn't want you to know about it. Discovery Island opened in 1974 under the name Treasure Island, a zoological attraction sitting on 11 acres in the middle of Bay Lake, a body of water that Disney controls entirely. You could only reach it by boat. That was by design. The island was meant to feel separate from the rest of Walt Disney World, a place apart, a place where the rules were slightly different. For 25 years, it operated as a genuine zoological park. Exotic birds, giant tortoises, alligators, white Bengal tigers at various points in its history, thousands of animals, hundreds of staff, an attraction that, at its peak, drew hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. And then, in the spring of 1999, Disney announced it was closing. No specific reason was ever given publicly. The official line was vague, something about the attraction no longer fitting Disney's direction. The animals were relocated, the staff were reassigned or let go, and the island was left. Not cleaned out, not prepared for demolition, not secured beyond basic perimeter measures. Just left. Everything that was there on the last day of operation remained exactly where it was. Cages, equipment, documents, costumes, medical supplies. A full, functioning island frozen at the moment of its abandonment. Disney has never given a fuller explanation. In 25 years, not a single official statement about what happened to the island, what's still on it, or what their plans for it are. An entire private island, inside the most visited theme park on Earth, that the company simply refuses to discuss. That alone should give you pause. The first people to document what was left on Discovery Island weren't journalists or Disney employees. They were urban explorers, people who specialize in accessing abandoned places and recording what they find. Getting to the island required crossing Bay Lake without being seen by Disney's security boats. The explorers did it by night. Kayaks, dark clothing, no lights until they were deep enough into the tree line that the boats couldn't see the glow. What they found was not what they expected. They expected decay. They expected nature reclaiming the space overgrowth, collapsed structures, the slow erosion of a place left to rot. What they found instead was a place that looked like it had been frozen mid-shift. A clipboard on a counter with a logbook open to April 1999. Pens still in a cup beside it. A coffee mug, long dry, sitting next to a printed schedule for animals that no longer lived there. The animal enclosures still had identification plaques. The pathways still had directional signs. The landscaping, what the jungle hadn't consumed, was still recognizably intentional. And then they found the storage rooms. The first one they tried was locked. The second was locked. The third, the one at the far end of the maintenance corridor, was not. Inside were supplies, old Disney merchandise, maintenance equipment. And at the back of the room, hanging on a rack that ran the full length of the wall, character costumes. Full suits, complete from head to foot, still in their protective bags, or partially out of them as if someone had been in the middle of organizing them when the island closed and simply walked away. The explorers photographed everything. And when they reviewed the photos later, they noticed something that hadn't registered in the moment. Every costume on the rack was facing outward. Every costume except one. One suit near the center of the rack was facing the wall. None of them had moved it. They were certain of that. They had been careful not to disturb anything. The whole point was documentation, not interference. They went back through their arrival footage. The suit was already facing the wall when they entered the room. They have never been able to explain it. And in the years since, that photograph has circulated widely enough that it has become the defining image of Discovery Island. A costume, in the dark, facing the wall of a room that has been sealed for decades, waiting. In the spring of 2019, a Disney security team conducting a routine boat patrol of Bay Lake made an unexpected discovery. There was a man on Discovery Island. His name was Wesley Carey. He was unarmed. He offered no resistance. He told the officers he had accessed the island by kayak and had been camping there for a few days enjoying the solitude, he said. Just to get away. He was removed from the island and charged with trespassing. Disney cooperated with authorities. A brief statement was issued. Within 48 hours, the story had faded from the news cycle, absorbed into the background noise of Florida oddities and forgotten. But for anyone paying close attention, several things about the account didn't fit together. Disney Security's report described a campsite with significant supplies. Not the minimal kit of someone camping for a few days of sustained setup. Enough food and water for weeks. A shelter that had been reinforced against the elements in ways that took time to construct. Wesley Carey maintained he had only been there a few days. He also maintained he had not entered any of the buildings. But there was a problem with that. Urban explorers who had visited the island in 2009, a full decade before Wesley Carey's discovery, had documented the storage room at the end of the maintenance corridor, the one with the costumes. In their footage, the door to that room is clearly visible, clearly unlocked, standing slightly open. When Disney security arrived in 2019, that door was locked. Locked from the inside. Disney security had to force it open. The room was empty. But the lock mechanism had been engaged from within, which means someone had been in that room, locked it, and either was still inside when security arrived, or had found another way out. Wesley Carey did not have a key to that room. Disney confirmed this. He had no Disney identification, no access credentials, nothing that would have given him entry to a secured space. This detail appeared in the initial police report. It was not picked up by any news outlet. It was not addressed in any subsequent statement. When reporters attempted to follow up with Disney about the locked room, they received no response. When they attempted to contact Wesley Carey, they found he had moved, changed his number, and declined all interview requests. He has not spoken publicly about Discovery Island since the day he was charged. There are two researchers who spent the better part of 3 years trying to understand what Disney actually knows about Discovery Island. They approached it methodically. Public records requests, FOIA submissions, cross-referencing Disney's own annual reports, zoning filings, and environmental impact documents against what was visible on the island via satellite. What they found in the environmental filings was unexpected. Disney has been filing regular environmental maintenance reports for Discovery Island every single year since 1999. The reports are brief. They confirm that the island has been inspected, that certain environmental standards are being maintained, that the ecosystem is being monitored every year, without fail, for 25 years, which means Disney employees have been going to that island regularly, which means someone has access, which means the island is not simply abandoned, it is being actively, quietly maintained. And that raises a question that neither researcher has been able to answer. If Disney employees visit Discovery Island regularly, why didn't they find Wesley Carey sooner? Why did it take a security boat patrol to discover a man with weeks of supplies, a reinforced camp, and access to a locked storage room? Either Disney's inspection team had been missing him for weeks, or they had seen him and said nothing. The researchers submitted these questions to Disney's press office in writing. They received a single response. Discovery Island is a private Disney property and is not open to the public. We do not comment on security matters. That was it. 25 years. One sentence. The satellite imagery question came from a different source entirely, an amateur researcher who had spent months analyzing aerial photography of Bay Lake across different time periods. In imagery from the mid-2000s, Discovery Island looks the way you'd expect an abandoned island to look. Dark, overgrown, still. But in more recent imagery taken within the last several years, something is different about the northeast structure. The building that the explorers' maps identified as a secondary maintenance facility. There is a warmth in the image that isn't consistent with reflected sunlight. The angle is wrong, the time of day is wrong, and the specific quality of light is different from every other structure on the island. It appears, in multiple images taken on different days, to have an interior light source. The researcher posted his analysis. It was picked up by several forums, debated extensively. Some said it was a data artifact. Some said it was reflection from Bay Lake. Some said it was a lens anomaly. None of those explanations fully accounted for the consistency. The same building, the same warmth, across multiple images, multiple days, multiple conditions. The researcher submitted the imagery analysis to Disney. No response. He submitted it to the Orange County Environmental Office. No response. He eventually posted everything publicly and stopped pursuing it. He said in his final post on the subject that he'd come to believe the lack of response was itself the answer. If it was nothing, he wrote, they would have said so. The silence is the confirmation. Discovery Island is still there. Right now. Today. The buildings are still standing. The costumes, those that remain, are still on their rack. The storage room has been locked again since Disney Security's visit in 2019. Disney files its environmental reports, sends its inspection teams, keeps its silence. And guests at Fort Wilderness can still look out across Bay Lake at night, across the dark water, and see the tree line of an island that the company that owns it refuses to discuss. Sometimes they see lights. Disney has never commented on the lights. What is on Discovery Island after 25 years of deliberate, funded, silent maintenance, I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that Disney could tell you. And they have chosen, every single year, for a quarter of a century, not to. That's not abandonment. That's something else entirely. One question before I go. Yes or no, do you think Disney knows exactly what's on that island? Discovery Island is the one they left standing. The next one, River Country, they left standing too. And the reason that park closed has never been officially confirmed. What the guests saw from the shore in the years after it shut down, that's the next video. Subscribe. I'll see you across the water.